Mason Zane was damaged goods. He knew it better than anyone else. But he had this foolish pipe dream of finding a woman and settling down. Kids, dog, white picket fence, the whole 9 yards. The problem was, he never felt worthy of any of that shit, and meeting the perfect little blonde who worked at his favorite corner diner had him thinking about all of those crazy dreams again. She was supposed to be his assignment. Her father had hired him to keep an eye on the girl, and now he had to go and let his dick do the thinking for him, which usually didn't end well for him. He wanted the pretty little blonde. That wasn't the problem. The issue was that her father was his boss and friend, and from what he understood, the sexy little waitress was in trouble, and she just didn't know it yet. Brandon Jean told him his woeful story of how he had to walk away from his wife and 3 small girls when he first started with the FBI. He was supposed to be undercover for just a few months, but then things went south with his assignment in an organization called the Ghosts, and he ended up having to take off for a while in order to keep his wife and girls safe. When Brandon returned home, he wasn't welcomed back with open arms. In fact, he found that his loving wife had moved on with some other guy and had forgotten all about him. He left with his tail between his legs, not even bothering to ask to see his daughters. Brandon told Mason that they were all better off without him. His wife told his daughters that he was missing and probably dead in a gutter somewhere, and that worked for him. In their line of work, it was easier to have loved ones believe the worst about them than put them in danger. If Brandon had re-entered their lives, that was what he would have done, put them all at risk. So he decided to walk away. Now, Brandon was the head of internal affairs at the Bureau, and Mason's boss. He was being hunted by the Ghosts, and the men who were trying to find him learned that he once had a family, 3 daughters and a wife. They were the type of men who'd stop at nothing to get what they wanted, and they wanted to find Brandon Jean. They'd use all of their resources to do so, including the 3 now-grown women who used to call him Dad. Mason didn't even think twice about taking the job for Brandon. As his boss, Brandon could have ordered him to do it, but he didn't have to. Mason agreed to the mission as soon as Brandon told him his story. It could have been Mason's story, and that hit a little too close to home. For years, Mason had toyed with the idea of settling down and having a family, but for that to happen, he'd need to find a woman. None of the barflies at the MC really appealed to him, and he knew that finding that woman to be his forever was going to be harder than finding a needle in a haystack. But then, he walked into that diner to get a closer look at pretty little Dizzy Jean, and he knew right then that he was a goner. She was his walking wet dream, and completely hands-off, according to his boss.